Well, happy holidays, everyone. It's our last deep dive before Christmas, so why don't we get festive?
I like it. Festive sounds good.
So today, we're going to tackle something pretty iconic when it comes to the holidays. The Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah, Christmas trees. I mean, you see them everywhere, but where did they even come from?
Right. And that is exactly what we're going to deep dive into today. We'll be drawing from a great National Geographic piece by Amy McKeever, published December 2020. Okay, so I think a good place to start is by, addressing the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Bringing a tree inside and then decorating it, wasn't always a Christmas thing.
No, not at all. It was actually initially a pagan tradition.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Ancient cultures would use evergreens as part of their winter solstice celebrations. They saw them as symbols of life, and light during the darkest time of the year.
Huh. So it's really interesting that that something that was part of a pagan tradition is now so closely associated with Christmas.
Absolutely. It was quite a journey, that's for sure.
How did that even happen?
Well, there are a few different origin stories, if you will, and a bit of debate about where the first Christmas tree actually popped up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so both Latvia and Estonia claim to have hosted it. Latvia points to a 1510 event where a merchant guild, the House of the Blackheads, pretty cool name, they paraded a decorated tree through Riga and then set it on fire.
Wait, they set it on fire?
No, they burned it. Not exactly the tree lighting we're used to. But now Estonia counters that, saying that the same guild actually did something similar in their capital, Tallinn, but way back in 1441.
Huh. So it sounds like this guild, whether it was in Latvia or Estonia, really liked to party.
They definitely knew how to celebrate, that's for sure.
But, I mean, was this like the actual start of what we know as the Christmas tree tradition?
Well, it's definitely an early example of decorating trees and bringing them into a celebration,
Yeah.
But most historians actually point to the Alsace region. It was part of Germany at the time, back in the 16th century, as the more likely origin of the tree. We have records of a Christmas tree in Strasbourg Cathedral in 1539. And just 15 years later, Freiburg actually banned cutting down trees for Christmas.
Really? They banned it?
Yeah, because it was becoming so popular.
Wow. So it sounds like it really caught on quickly.
Yeah, it was a hit.
But at that time, did it even have, like, any religious meaning?
That's what's interesting is that it actually seems like, at least initially, it was kind of religiously neutral. There are, some folk tales that connect it to the Garden of Eden or wooden pyramids. But those theories, they don't really hold a lot of historical weight.
So how did we get from kind of a neutral festive tree to something that was really tied to Christmas?
Well, one story that a lot of people like to tell is that we can thank Martin Luther.
Oh, really?
The Protestant reformer.
Yeah, okay.
Legend has it that he was walking home one starry night, and he was just, completely struck by how beautiful the twinkling stars looked against the dark evergreens. So he decided to recreate the scene indoors, adding lighted candles to a tree for his family.
That's actually, that's really sweet.
It is a charming story, right?
Yeah, I could definitely see why people would love that.
Totally. It's really evocative.
So how did this very German tradition end up spreading across Europe?
Well, it seems like we can probably thank some royal trendsetters for that.
Oh, so it's a royal thing.
Yeah, Queen Charlotte. She was a German princess who married King George III of England.
Okay.
And she introduced the Christmas tree to the royal court in the 18th century.
Ah, makes sense. It must have seemed very fashionable then.
Yeah, I mean, leave it to the royals to make something a trend, right?
Exactly.
But it was actually Queen Victoria and Prince Albert who really made the tree super popular.
Yeah. Right.
In 1848, they had this image of their family, gathered around their very decorated tree, and it got published in the Illustrated London News.
And it just blew up.
Pretty much. It was like going viral Victorian style. Suddenly, everyone wanted a Christmas tree that looked like it belonged to royalty.
I bet that was great for business, huh?
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine all the Christmas tree decorators popping up everywhere.
It probably even changed the way people decorated, too.
Exactly. And speaking of iconic trees, we can't forget about London's Trafalgar Square Christmas tree. It's a gift from Norway every year.
Oh, wow.
Since 1947, actually. It's their way of saying thanks for the UK's support during World War II.
It's amazing how much meaning and history can be packed into just one simple tree, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So how did this European tradition make the jump across the Atlantic? Like, when did it get to America?
Well, there are a couple of theories. Some people think it was Hessian troops who fought alongside the British during the Revolutionary War.
Oh, okay.
They might have brought the tradition with them. And then, of course, there were the waves of German immigrants who brought their Christmas customs to their new home.
So it sounds like, some of those early American Christmas trees were kind of a blend of military influence and immigrant heritage.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah. It was probably a mix of different influences.
When did it really become a thing, though, in the U.S.?
Well, the 1850s seemed to be a turning point. Remember that image of the royal family we talked about?
Yeah, the one that went viral.
Right. Well, Godey's Ladies' Book, an American magazine, they reprinted that image.
Oh, wow.
But they made a little change. They took out the queen's crown and the prince's sash. So it looked more like a regular American family.
That's brilliant. A very smart marketing strategy.
Right. It made the trend feel much more relatable to everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was something that anyone could do.
Yeah, very clever. It's so fascinating how one image can change things so much,
Yeah, absolutely.
And from there, it just exploded in the U.S.
And then, of course, we have the iconic American Christmas trees, the National Christmas Tree, and the Rockefeller Center tree.
You got it. The National Christmas Tree was first lit in 1923 by President Calvin Coolidge, and the Rockefeller Center tree followed 10 years later.
So this tradition that started centuries ago in Europe is now such a big part of American culture.
It's amazing, isn't it? But here's where things take a bit of a unexpected turn.
Oh, okay.
So while we think of Christmas trees as a Christmas thing,
Yeah.
in Russia, they're actually associated with New Year's celebrations.
New Year's trees. That's new to me.
Right. It's a really interesting twist. It goes back to the Soviet era. After the Russian Revolution, the Soviet government, they started a big campaign against religion.
Okay.
They targeted Christmas traditions as bourgeois. So they banned Christmas trees, along with a bunch of other customs.
So no Christmas.
Nope. Instead, they encouraged people to celebrate New Year's. It was a huge shift.
Wow. So did they just, get rid of trees altogether then?
Well, that's the interesting part. In 1935, a high-ranking Soviet official actually suggested that families celebrate New Year's with fir trees sparkling with multicolored lights.
So even the Soviets couldn't resist a nice decorated tree.
Right. It seems like some traditions are just too good to give up completely.
Yeah, it's amazing how adaptable they can be.
It really is.
They can be reinvented and take on new meanings in different contexts.
Exactly. It's really fascinating, how even when something's officially discouraged, it still kind of finds a way.
Yeah. People still found ways to celebrate even when they weren't supposed to.
Exactly. They evolve, they merge with other things, but they stick around.
And so even though Christmas eventually came back to Russia,
right,
after the Soviet Union collapsed, that tradition of the New Year's trees, it stayed.
Yeah, it did. Really shows you how strong those customs can be, I guess. No matter what's happening politically, they stick around.
Yeah, they become a part of the culture. Makes you wonder, are there other, unique ways people have embraced the whole Christmas tree thing?
Oh, absolutely. Tons of them.
Around the world.
Yeah. For example, there's this one story. Have you heard about the scrap metal Christmas tree?
Oh, yeah, the one that the researchers made.
Yeah. At the U.S. Amundsen Scott South Pole Station.
That's incredible. They're celebrating Christmas surrounded by,
I know.
ice and snow thousands of miles from home.
And they make a Christmas tree out of whatever they could find. Pretty amazing, huh?
It's really heartwarming.
Yeah.
Just goes to show that that tradition, it can really bring people together no matter where they are.
It's true. A little touch of normalcy and joy in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And speaking of traditions that are tied to, a sense of place, we got to talk about the Greek custom of decorating Christmas boats.
Christmas boats?
Yeah, have you heard of these?
No, I haven't.
So instead of gathering around a tree, families would decorate these little miniature boats and display them at home.
Huh. So they would decorate boats instead of trees.
Exactly. It's really cool, right? They were often dedicated to St. Nicholas, who was, the patron saint of sailors.
Okay.
And symbolized a safe return from sea. So it was like a hope for good fortune. It shows how Christmas traditions can be so tied to a culture's history and beliefs and even just their geography, right?
It makes you wonder, why don't we see them more often? those Christmas bells.
Well, things change, right? Traditions evolve.
Yeah.
Christmas trees are definitely more common now in Greece.
Yeah.
But, you can still find Christmas boats in some of the island communities, so they're keeping that tradition alive.
It's really interesting how some traditions, they stay the same, and then some fade away, and the new ones pop up. Speaking of new ones, I heard about this tradition in Scandinavia called St. Nuts Day.
Ah, St. Nuts Day. Yeah, January 13th marks the end of the Christmas season in Scandinavia.
Okay.
And it's a pretty boisterous tradition. So after they have a big feast, families basically plunder their Christmas trees for any leftover treats, and then they toss them out.
Like really get rid of them.
Sometimes, literally, in Sweden, they actually throw them out the door. And in Norway, sometimes they'll chop them up and burn them in the fireplace.
So it's like a big festive way to say goodbye to the holidays.
Exactly. Close out the season, embrace the new year.
It's kind of cool, right? How many different traditions there are.
Yeah, how diverse all these Christmas tree traditions are. All these different customs and symbolism.
But I got to say, I think the most surprising one we've come across is...
I know what you're going to say.
The Tió de Nadal from Catalonia.
Yeah, the pooping log. The pooping log. It's definitely unique.
I'm having a little trouble picturing this.
Yeah.
You bring a log in your home, you feed it, and then you hit it with sticks.
Pretty much. And then it defecates presents.
Defecates presents. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not see that one coming.
It's pretty wild, right? And no one really knows for sure where it came from, but we think it might go back to some ancient pagan rituals, like burning logs for warmth and fertility and stuff.
Okay.
And the whole defecation aspect could be tied to this other Catalan tradition called the Caganer. It's a figurine of a defecating peasant that they often include in nativity scenes.
That is a tradition I never would have guessed.
Right. It's pretty wild, but it goes to show you that not every tradition has to be, serious or religious.
It can be a little fun, a little lighthearted.
Exactly. A little bit of humor never hurt anyone, especially during the holidays, right?
Right. I guess it's really all about finding joy and connection. However, that looks for different people.
It's true. That's what matters. And maybe, hearing about some of these quirky traditions might even inspire our listeners to create their own.
To come up with something new.
Exactly.
That really is amazing, all these different traditions, right?
Yeah. From, solemn to silly, you really see how creative and adaptable people are.
Yeah. And it seems like no matter what the tradition is, whether it's lighting candles or getting treats from the tree or even, presents from a pooping log.
Right.
We're all just looking for that connection.
That's it. Yeah. We want that connection, that celebration, little magic during the holidays.
Exactly.
And like we've seen, there are so many different ways to do that. It reflects, different histories, beliefs, different senses of humor.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think this deep dive has really given me a whole new appreciation for the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It's not just a decoration.
Yeah.
It's a symbol.
It is a symbol of that shared human experience, right? Like it's woven into all these cultures all around the world.
And in a world that often feels divided, it's nice to think that we have more in common than we think.
Absolutely. Whether it's a huge pine tree or something you made yourself, it connects us to history and symbolism.
So as we wrap up our last deep dive before the holidays, we want to wish all of our listeners a happy holiday season.
Happy holidays, everyone. We hope you have a season filled with joy and connection and maybe even a few surprises.
And if you've got a tree up this year, we hope you look at it a little differently now.
We hope you learn something new.
From all of us here at The Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.